Here now, Karl Rove, Fox News contributor and former White House deputy chief of staff under President George W. Bush. So they got together and decided that they should raise the spending caps by almost between $300 and $400 billion. And that was, I think, a pretty easy thing for them to come to an agreement on, Karl, on the Senate side.
Well, it is because, remember, caps are not appropriations, and they actually, originally the Democrats said if for every dollar you increase in defense caps, you need to increase in the non-defense. Here's what the Senate is. It's $80 billion more to defense. Right now, defense is at $549. This would carry it to $629. And then on non-defense, it would increase it by $63 billion. It's now at about $516 billion. That would carry it to $579. And it would do that this year and next year. So in other words, $80 billion this year for defense, $80 billion more for defense next year. But again, that's a ceiling. That's not the appropriation. Same on non-defense, $63 billion more this year, $63 billion more next year. And again, that's the authorization. It's not the appropriation. This bill would also raise the debt ceiling so that it's not voted on again until after this election, and then it would fill up the FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency pot, which has now run out of money with about $80 billion for disaster relief. That money would sit there until it was needed over the course of the next several years. By comparison, Martha, the House bill that they're working on increases defense spending by $35 billion this year from $549 to $584. But does not increase non-defense spending, doesn't do anything about the debt ceiling, and doesn't do anything about filling FEMA. But, so there are big differences between the two chambers. I think
Jim Jordan speaks probably for many Republicans out there. I think a lot of people thought when they sent all these Republicans to Washington, including a president, that there might be some discussion when you raise these caps about places where you could cut spending. Because I think everybody knows that there are indeed places where you can cut spending. I know this is just, but you're saying this is just the budget in a sense, right? This is, you can spend up to this amount.
It's the budget framework, and the question is, the question is
they never don't.
Well, they don't. Well, they do sometimes, but the question is what is the long game here? My sense is that they want to get the budget deal done, get the debt ceiling out of the way, clear the decks, so to speak, and then there will be a battle. Let's not kid ourselves. There will be a battle this year and next year about whether or not they actually do increase defense spending by $80 billion and increase non-defense spending by $63. There will be a continuing battle over this. This is just simply the framework, not the actual appropriation bills themselves.
You know, I want to show just to Nancy Pelosi for a moment and the stance that she took today, a very strong stance. She spent many hours out there arguing that she wants the Dreamers to be allowed to stay in the country as part of this bill, and she feels, I think, betrayed by the deal that Chuck Schumer struck on the Senate side. But remember, when this happened, when she was basically overrun by Dreamer protesters when she was speaking in San Francisco not that long ago.
You've asked some question. You've asked some question. You've asked some question. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. No, I want to. No, you've asked questions. You've asked questions. You have spoken.
I don't think she forgot that moment, Karl. In fact, the president reminded her of it just the other day, and that may have been some of the motivation for what we saw today.
Well, also the motivation might be in part that she has a caucus that is demanding action on DACA and feels betrayed by the idea of separating these two. They've got their own problem with shutdown-itis. They thought that in the House that shutting down the government by demanding that no spending bill be passed without a DACA fix in it was good politics and good policy, and it was neither. What's ironic is they got a better shot at getting a DACA fix and more comprehensive immigration if they clear the decks of the budget and then focus on that, because clearly President Trump has laid out a deal there. He said, I will give not a path to citizenship to 800,000, 700,000 who filed. I'll give it to 1.8 million, but we got to find a way to do something on border security that will and reforming some of these immigration laws like I would like to have it done. So they got a chance to get this done if they're willing to negotiate and willing to separate these two. And what's interesting to me is her people were participating in all of these discussions on the Senate side, as were House Republicans, and somehow or another something happened today to cause her to walk away from it, at least temporarily. But this can't pass without a number of Democrats voting for it in the House.
Before I let you go quickly, what did you think about the president saying, you know, I'd love a shutdown. I want border security. I want to protect the country from MS-13 and other groups, and I'd be happy to shut the government down over that.
Look, a couple of weeks ago, he learned a very valuable lesson. When Chuck Schumer threatened to shut down the government, crying Chuck Schumer, as the president called him, the Schumer shutdown, the Democrats suffered, the president rose in the polls, the American people said, we don't want the government shut down. I think it's a mistake for the president to do that again this time. He's on a good move right now, but he keeps getting in front of himself, and calling for a shutdown that he criticized 2 weeks ago is not going to advance his cause.
Karl Rove, always good to see you, sir. Thank you, Karl.